The Flash, 2024
Okay.
annual. Cy Spurrier, writing with like 5 artists. I didn't write them down, but I've got the tab open so I can tell you who they all are. We have Tom Derenick, Scott Koblish, George Cambadias, and Amanke Nyahulpin. 4 artists on this book, and I definitely noticed there's some really, really drastic art shifts in this book. So here's the thing. I've got a statement that I'd like to start off with.
Let's go.
I'm done.
This is making you quit Flash?
I hated this. In fact, I read about a third of this book, and I got to a point where I'm like, I hate this. This is such a chore to read. I am so annoyed right now. And then from that point on, I kind of skimmed the rest rather than read everything because I'm done. I'm just like, I have like some ideas in this book. I definitely like the art in the first arc, but the last couple of issues are a bit of a tougher read. I think this annual was an absolute travesty.
It was a tough read. It is definitely Spurrier getting high on his own supply here. There's way too much technical jargon going on, and it makes it kind of numb to read.
Also, like Wally's like going through the Infinite or the Speed Force, whatever it is, and he's wearing like this weird armor or something. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? What is this stupid shit?
But then he kills one of the Unspooled and wears his head like a helmet. That was pretty metal. I thought that was cool.
I don't know. I like the first few pages of this did not get me in the mood. And then it's basically Wally going around and hearing different members of his family say bad things about him, whilst the ghost character that's with them is saying, it's not really them, Wally, they don't know what they're saying. Irie doesn't understand that she's trapped by Mirror Master. And I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, there's so many things that this book kept bringing up. I'm like, oh yeah, I do vaguely remember that now that you've brought it up, but
yeah, so, the whole thing is there's this big plan by... We all know who the big bad's going to be revealed to be, right?
I mean,
it's not Thawne, right? There's the Crown of Thawnes.
Yes.
Everything about this is Zoom.
Oh, sure. Okay. I wasn't sure where you were going with that there, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right. So from the point of when we get to the art on Barry and his eyes are all wonky, we've used that, since it's been established that the Crown of Thawnes is using Barry as well. They look like Zoom's goggles.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And he's acting out a character. He's saying like mean things effectively.
And this made me realize the entire plot of this to drive Barry away from the Flash family was Zoom's entire gimmick during the Johns run. Right? It was Wally can be such a better hero if he is untethered to things he cares about.
Here's my problem with this is that conceptually I don't mind that.
Yes.
But I think the execution of this is
terrible.
It's getting messier and messier the more it goes on. There's so many different things happening and all these different... And I'm like, there's such a simpler way to tell this story that would actually be very emotional and would be really upset that Wally's been separated from everyone. But I'm at a point now where this...
When Avery and Ace get shifted out, I thought that was interesting, right? Because they get shifted to a slightly different plane, I guess, of existence than Wally's on. So they can see him, but they're trailing behind and all of this other stuff. And then it becomes a chase and they start seeing all the machinations at play. I was just like, there's too many things going on here.
The feeling I was getting early on in this that I think solidified that I was feeling a bit more down on it is that I think one of the benefits the regular issues have had is that they've been capped at 20 pages, so it stops it from being too much.
Yep.
Once I got to like 15 pages in this and realized that I'm not even halfway through, I just felt this, oh no, I don't want to read the rest of this. Like, I just don't want to.
So I started reading this on Tuesday.
That's a great sense. I started reading this on Tuesday.
I finished it on Thursday because I had to read it in chunks because it was too much. Like it felt like I was back in school reading a textbook at points. At one point they go to the source wall, but there's the way that the technical jargon to like. So I get what Spurrier's doing. It's this whole point of the Speed Force being the constant across the multiverse. That's been a thing about the Flash since Flash to Two Worlds. Cool, fine. It's just taken like 3 pages to say that in this, him using all of the sci-fi type of stuff, and like this weird fungus that's coming through the source wall and all this other stuff. I'm just like, what is going on here? This is too out there for me.
Yeah, but it's a few pages before that where all of a sudden the art changes to looking like a Saturday morning cartoon, and it was such a jarring shift.
Yep.
That really annoyed me. And the whole issue, Wally is ignoring his family and looking for the stillness because he really wants to find the stillness, and he finds the stillness at the source wall, and this is where they have their whole diatribe about this. But then at the end of the issue, Wallace and Avery, after running into Kadabra, they end up with Pilgrim, right? Where he's trapping all the various speedsters for their own good or whatever. And when it gets to this bit, there's a throwaway line from Pilgrim. He's like, "Oh, don't worry about the stillness, guys. They're just whatever." Like he kind of just hand waves them, and I'm like, "What have we been spending the whole issue with Wally doing?" Like, it's so frustrating.
I'll defend that a little bit because it's this point that the stillness are such high beings that they're these explorers, but they're bored, right? So from Inspector Pilgrim's thing is these aren't they're not the MacGuffins that we thought they were. You know what I mean? This was yes, they're these big important things. They kind of woke Wally up to all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, they're just kind of wanderers. They serve no other purpose. So he was basically calling out the red herring there through Pilgrim, which is fine because we have enough other things going on that if I don't have to worry about the stillness now, I'm fine. That just cleared the board of the stillness for me. So now I can focus on, the crown of thorns and all the other moving parts because I'm in now, and we all know what happens when I'm in something.
Oh yeah.
I can't let go. I have to go. So, but I'm shocked that this was the issue that made you like, well, I'm not interested in the story anymore.
I didn't want to read the rest of it, and I kind of still looked through the rest, but I wasn't reading all the dialogue. I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself. In fact, Joe, what it was? What was the page? Hon, I'll get the page. There's a page. Who is it that was talking? There's like a robotic voice at one point. In the
I know exactly.
And the speech bubbles were in this kind of like harsh lettering style to mimic robotics. And,
yes.
And I'm pretty sure that was the page I hit and went, oh here we go. It's about 19 pages in, and Wally is with these robot characters. And I straight up looked at the first panel of these 2 pages where these robot characters are. I tried to read their first speech bubble and went, F this, I'm not reading this.
Yeah. So yeah, that is where I would put it down and read something else or, watch hockey.
Like, I have to really focus on those bubbles to actually make out what the words are because the lettering style is so annoying. Like, it's actively annoying. Like it says, why the apparatus of existence, dear boy, we physical constants try to keep it ticking over, right? I really had to focus on that bubble there to actually read that because it doesn't just like come to my eye naturally the way that the vast majority of lettering does, where I just recognize the words. Yeah,
well, and the point in that is this because this is also a whistle stop, which it made it repetitive. So it was Wally would run to a place, encounter these beings with very annoying speech patterns, and then move on to the next one, and he would learn something along the way. Here was those little like amoeba type things that he's been snatching out of reality. They're actually conceptualized feelings, right? So these robots have no idea what to do with them. So it's here Spurrier saying like the Speed Force is getting so out of control that it's brought feelings into this inorganic world and whatever. Cool. I don't need all that dialogue from them to get that point across. I feel with Spurrier less is more at this point, and I hope he picks up on that, but probably not. So
he could do with halving the word count. I'll say that much right now.
For sure. So as I was reading this too, I started to try to figure out because, like you said on our last episode, sometimes it feels like these are written with you're going to remember everything, like you just read all the issues, right? Every month. And as I was going through, I came across some old interviews that came right as this book was launching from Spurrier, wanting to take Flash in a cosmic horror direction because of where Jeremy Adams left it. It was kind of what I like as a Flash fan, which is about family and legacy and being a superhero. He wanted to do something completely different. And I appreciate for him managing that. And because this has definitely made me miss that kind of Flash run, you know?
Well, that's the
So,
thing. Conceptually, I have no problem with what
mhm.
that I like saying you want to do a cosmic horror
Yep.
run with the Flash because
Yes, I'm there.
there's something nasty inside the Speed Force, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that sounds like a cool idea, but the execution is
Just
it.
whiffed.
It started off a bit shaky, but I was still finding things to like
Mm-hmm.
about it for quite some time. But the last few issues have been a little bit tougher to get through, and then this annual was just like, I don't want to read half of this. And
Yeah.
if I can't finish this issue, which is a main chapter of the story, then it feels like I shouldn't even bother trying the next one. So
Yeah. Well, dear listeners, I'm here for it. So I will do my best at trying to um,
oh,
assimilate into the Cy Spurrier style.
I cannot wait to hear you on your own try to tell me
Oh.
what's happening in the next issue of the
Well,
Flash.
it does help though that I do remember things because it is so wordy. I don't remember exactly what they're saying, but I remember the beats. So that does help. So at least Spurrier's a skilled enough writer for that. But I feel like I picked up on the breadcrumbs, and I could be completely wrong, but I definitely feel like we're leading to a Zoom confrontation with Wally, and that's fine. And I like that. I like that we're playing with that, and what makes Wally a hero? Because here at the end, this is where he just decides to give up and sit in that Zen garden, because he feels his family doesn't need him anymore. We talked about that aspect of everything. So again, the destination of where it went to, I'm still interested in. I just don't like how we're getting there, if that makes sense.
I think when it focuses on because I think two of because the best thing in the last issue was the radio show stuff. It was
Yeah.
Waller coming to see Iris at the radio show because it felt focused. It felt like a simple idea that had a beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best issues before that was definitely the one that introduced Pilgrim. And he came and spoke to Jay at the school. That issue was pretty good because it felt very focused and it was just these two characters getting to know each other. So it felt like it wasn't as muddied up by a lot of we're shoehorning in too many things.
Yeah.
But sadly, it keeps kind of bouncing back to this kind of thing, and it's become more of a chore as time has went on. I just,
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's what it is. I mean, I do think it's a problem here, regardless of how good any one of the artists is, and they vary wildly, so your taste will, bounce around depending.
Yeah.
But the shifts in art style in this were drastic, like really, really drastic at times.
Yeah, and also if you're not Diodato doing those, which I found that style that we talk about, where it comes out of the frame, right, or out of the panel. I guess those are called Mondrian lines because it's to give the sense of movement and like kineticism. So if you're not Diodato and you don't have it, worked out as much, it kind of falls flat. And there's some of the early art in this issue that tries that where it almost gets there, but it's not nearly as good. And I just feel like, okay, don't ape that style, do your own thing.
It's also worth mentioning there's no narrative reason for a change of style anytime the style changes. It's just been split into four and it just changes art style, whatever page it happens to be, which is annoying because they could have at least maybe done something where maybe one artist does all the Wally stuff, but when we cut to the other characters, they could have done something like that.
I mean, we're dealing with shifts in perspective, so every time there's a shift in perspective, if there's a shift in art,
like could have worked maybe.
So,
I mean, it still may have shifted a bit too wildly, but it at least felt better than this. Whereas, because this
thematically it would have matched.
Yeah, this just changes every 10 or so pages, and that's just it. So, rough. Yeah, I have very little nice things to say about this book. Yeah, but would you want to rate the Flash Annual?
I'll give it a 5.5.
I'm going to give it a diplomatic 4.
Okay.
but I was tempted to go lower. I really did not like
Does
this.
that get immunity?
No, it does not get immunity. This is
no immunity.
This is diplomatic detainment. This is what this is.
No, no. Oh no.